All right, now yesterday we kind of left off with step 5. I'm just going to brief you through what it was that we did in case you didn't get that information. So we read the story or the excerpt from A Wrinkle in Time. We found out that Meg had to return to the creepy neighborhood of Camazotz in order to save her brother Charles Wallace. He had been held captive by a creature named It, and Meg was able to destroy the creature and save her brother with the power of love. She was able to bring her brother back, and she realized just how powerful love really was. So with step 5, you folks had to write down what were the 4 steps of the return stage and how did they appear. And you folks were able to blaze through those super quick. You were able to explain it easily. So that's going to bring us to step 6, okay? Now, step 6 is asking, how did the excerpt show resolutions to conflict? So what I'm going to have you do is go ahead and copy down first 3 of the major conflicts that appeared to Meg in this excerpt. So the most obvious conflict or problem that she had, her brother, Charles Wallace, was stolen or kidnapped. The second major conflict that she had to face was her entire family being separated. Some members of the family were in the real world, and some of them were stuck in this Camazotz creepy sci-fi land. And the last big conflict that she had, Meg had to overcome this fear and this doubt within herself. So what I'm going to ask you to do, once you've got these items copied, I'm going to give you no more than 2 minutes, and I want you to write down what were the solutions or the resolutions to these conflicts. If you want to talk about it with the family, you can. You don't have to, but you got about 2 minutes to make sure that you've got those 3 conflicts resolved. So go ahead and do it. All right, so what was Meg's resolution to Charles Wallace getting stolen? How did she solve this? Sounds kind of obvious, but how did she take care of it, Dupree? Yeah, she saved him. She went ahead, gave the power of love, and all was good. All was right in the world. How about the family being separated? How did she resolve that one? This one kind of has a couple of steps associated with it. It's one of those moments where you're like, Ms. Reed, it's so obvious, why are we discussing it? So if it's that, that's okay. Sure. Okay, well, if the family's in 2 different areas, how are we going to get them in the same area? What do we have to do first?
Go to the other side.
How do I get to the other side, though? I can't go on my own. Yeah, sure.
The piece of thing that's keeping you on the other side.
Yeah, the piece of thing that's keeping me on the other side. You see, it brain blob, Delia. It gets the brother, then gets sucked and warped up into the real world. All right? And Meg having fear and doubt, how did she really solve that one? Joshua? Yeah, I like that. The pounding right there. She overcame it with the power of love. All right. Oh, my goodness. My screen's frozen. We've got 2 more questions to answer. Question 7 is having you take a look specifically at Meg's internal conflict. Okay? Now, Meg's internal conflict here was how she was anxious and fearful about the task ahead of her. So, in question 7, I want you to go ahead and highlight what it is we're specifically looking for in the text. We're going to be looking for quotes that show her anxiety, her fear, her internal conflict, the problem that she has. And once you've got that highlighted, go ahead and write down the numbers 1 and 2, because I'm going to ask you to find 2 quotes. I'll give you a hint to where this inner dialogue really happened. It happened on page 44 in the story. So if you go back to page 44, kind of review Meg's internal conflict, you will easily be able to locate 2 quotes that showed her fearfulness. All right, so take no more than a minute and a half. Have yourself a couple of quotes there. for the most part, you folks are kind of picking up on really similar quotes. Something she's saying aloud, something she's really just thinking to herself regarding. But you're on the right track, so I'm not going to worry about that. Step 8, honest to goodness, this should take you less than 30 seconds to answer. And ask me, what did Meg learn during her attempt to conquer the challenge? Okay, all that's asking you about is that crossing step. So if you could, next to number 8, just go ahead and write down that this is referring to the crossing step. And then you're just really asking yourself, what theme can we pull from this leg of Meg's journey? Now, if you're done, excellent. If not, finish up. But for those of you that are ready, go ahead and pull out your raw notebook. We're going to go ahead and get our 12th entry set up here. So today's date is the 22nd of September. And the activity is going to be titled Drafting Following Action Resolution. So back on November 11th, you folks drafted your exposition or your introduction of the story, the first 3 steps, on an index card. On the 16th, you were really focusing in on that rising action and climax of the story. And today, we're really focusing on the following action and the resolution. So hopefully by the end of the class period, you're going to have a pretty solid working rough draft of your hero's story, or of your original hero's journey. All right? Now, we're going to make a couple markings in the Springboard text, so if you close it, open it back up. And I'm going to focus your attention on page 48. Okay, the bottom of page 48 is where you see the prompt that's indicating to make sure that you have certain stuff in your draft. So you're going to be making some markings on those 4 bullet points, just some highlighted pieces. Okay, one of the things that we want to make sure we include in our following draft and resolution, using dialogue, pacing appropriately to your stories, and being descriptive. Secondly, we want to make sure that we're using imagery, and the way that that's going to happen is by being very descriptive. That way I can get that mental picture of what's happening to your hero. Third, in terms of sequencing logically, you want to make sure that the steps of your hero's journey is following in order. And last but not least, it's going to be hard to see it on the screen, but the first bullet point, you're just going to highlight, visualize the theme. It's just kind of tricky because that color is dark, so I'll remove it again. We're just highlighting, visualize the theme. Okay, now there is one remark about theme or note that I want you to write in the My Notes column. It's on the screen right now, and I'll talk you through it. The one thing that I really want you to make sure you have included, you've got to make sure your theme is revealed in the resolution. Okay, now I don't want it to be this cop-out, lame-o, obvious, I learned the powers live. Okay, that never happened to Meg in the story, right? She never said this is what I learned from the lesson. I should be able to pick up on your theme through your characters' actions, their thoughts, their interaction with other people. I should be able to pull that out naturally. I should never see it point blank in your story. This is what was learned by the townspeople. No, don't do that. Make it obvious through your detail. That's how I should be able to pick up on your theme. I would suggest that you keep your Springboard open and you just put the raw notebook on top. That way you've got it as a visual reminder, okay, got to make sure I've explained the theme to a degree and what my character is doing. Okay, the next slide is going to look like a lot of info, Please don't freak out. There's only a few key pieces of info up there, and the rest you probably know really well. Okay, so for your entry, looks like a lot, don't freak out. For your entry, first, just look all the way at the top of that yellow-orange box, the big, bold, white text. What is it telling us we have to do for the draft? Skip in lines, okay, that's the big one. The second is in regards to pacing. I don't have to worry about you folks, but it's up there just as a cue. You got to make sure that you've got a minimum of 2 paragraphs for your following action and resolution. Again, for most of you, you're probably going to well exceed, and that's great. Okay? Now, the other stuff that's in white and underlined, those are just the first steps that you need to make sure your character has. However, one step is optional. Your hero may or may not have a magic flight or a final challenge. That's up to you. So if you think, all right, they've kind of hit everything that they need to, and you're ready just for them to express their refusal for that character or that item to pull them back into real life, you can do that. But you want to make sure that the other 3, 100%, are in your hero's journey. All right, now the rest of the time is 100% yours to write. You've got a good 30 minutes to get going on this piece. All right, go ahead and begin.